Since time immemorial, women have been the beating heart of life, guardians of continuity and the very soul of humanity. But what sets apart those women who radiate happiness and confidence from those trapped in a whirlwind of fear, insecurity, and dissatisfaction? Carl Jung, one of the 20th century's most brilliant minds, invites us to look beyond empty advice and quick fixes. For him, the secret to a fulfilled woman doesn't lie in external approval or a desperate chase for validation, but in a fascinating journey toward self-discovery, a path that awakens the deepest essence of who you truly are. In a world that has shackled women with rigid rules for centuries, dictating how they should look, act, and feel, true freedom doesn't come from mindless rebellion, but from a powerful question: who am I beyond what I've been told I should be? From childhood, many women are taught to please, to be docile, to fit into molds that don't belong to them. They're told to be kind, tender, that their worth lies in what they give to others. But what happens when that facade becomes an invisible cage? When, in the effort to be everything to everyone, a woman loses herself? Jung calls this a disconnection from the self, a life trapped in the shadow of inherited fears and imposed expectations. Yet there's hope, a path back to authentic happiness and inner confidence. It's not an easy or quick road, but it begins with an act of courage, facing what you've suppressed for years. Jung described the unconscious as a vast ocean, a universe brimming with archetypes, symbols, and hidden forces that guide us even when we don't realize it. Within that ocean, every woman holds fragments of herself that have been forgotten, rejected, or silenced. Among them shines a powerful archetype, the inner goddess, far beyond superficial beauty or fragility. She is the creative force, the ancestral wisdom, the connection to nature and the mystery of life. But this goddess has been buried beneath masks of compliance, unattainable perfection, guilt, and fear. For a woman to feel truly confident, she must rescue her inner goddess, give her a voice, let her roar. The happiest women aren't those who've escaped darkness, but those who've learned to cross it without losing themselves, who've embraced their shadow instead of fearing it. Jung reveals that the shadow is everything we deny about ourselves, not just our weaknesses, but also our power, our ability to say no without guilt, to decide without fear of judgment. That's why self-discovery is the master key. It's not about following external rules, but listening to that inner voice silenced for too long. For many, this awakening starts with small acts of rebellion, putting themselves first, speaking their truth, choosing a path different from what's expected. We live in a world that fears the authentic woman, because a woman who knows herself, respects herself, and doesn't beg for approval is an unstoppable force. She's free. And that pure freedom terrifies, because it can't be controlled or manipulated with empty promises or imposed fears. She knows who she is, what she deserves, and won't settle for less. Jung called this journey the process of individuation, the path to wholeness. For a woman, it means challenging inherited beliefs, breaking the fears passed down through generations, letting go of the good girl everyone expects, and becoming the woman she truly is. It's not easy, but it's the only road to real happiness. When a woman discovers herself, the world around her shifts. What once seemed unmovable crumbles, old beliefs reveal themselves as fragile houses of cards built by others, not her. And in that transformation, something magical happens. She begins to trust her intuition. Jung was fascinated by the power of the unconscious, that part of the mind beyond logic, whispering profound truths. It's not an enemy, but an ocean of wisdom that, when navigated, leads to a more authentic life. Many women were taught from childhood to doubt their inner voice, to seek answers in others' reasoning, to fear their own desires. But the woman who listens to her intuition breaks free from that invisible prison. It's like lighting a lamp in the dark. Suddenly, the lies she told herself, the relationships held together by fear, the decisions made to please others, all are exposed. And then, she must choose, stay in the shadow or step into the light of self-discovery. This journey demands courage. Looking in the mirror without filters or excuses and accepting what you see isn't easy. Many women fear they're not enough, that the world will reject their truest selves, that change will strip away the safety of the familiar. But what they don't know is that beyond that fear lies a freedom they've never tasted. The happiest, most confident women aren't those favored by life, but those who've learned to face uncertainty with trust, to build security from within, to see challenges as chances to grow. They've realized that authentic happiness isn't found outside, it's cultivated inside. Jung spoke of the anima, the feminine energy within us all. For a woman, connecting with her anima awakens her power, her creativity, her ability to love and perceive the world with depth. But this awakening meets resistance. In a world that fears feminine power, every woman who rediscovers herself is a silent revolution. And here comes a challenge, the environment. When a woman changes, those around her may feel uneasy, reject her, or even attack her, not because they want to hurt her, but because her transformation confronts their own insecurities. The woman who never set boundaries now does, the one who sought approval stops needing it, the one who yielded to pressure starts deciding for herself. This shakes those who relied on her submission. But the woman who's found her center doesn't waver. She's learned to tell genuine love from disguised manipulation. She knows saying no doesn't make her selfish, it makes her true to herself. She's understood her worth isn't in how much she gives, but in how much she allows herself to receive. And then, something fascinating happens, loneliness stops being a monster. Many women grow up fearing solitude, believing their value lies in being loved or needed. But the woman who knows herself discovers that true companionship is within. She becomes her own best friend, her guide, her source of love. In the process of individuation, Jung described this pivotal moment, stopping living for others and starting to live from your truth. For a woman, it means shedding inherited guilt, imposed fears, others' expectations. It means being strong without guilt, vulnerable without shame, whole without needing someone to complete her. It's a continuous journey, with days of clarity and others of confusion, but each step brings her closer to the woman she's meant to be. And on that path, she realizes she's not alone, other women, across the world, are awakening too. Jung believed in a collective unconscious, the idea that our psyches are connected. A woman's journey doesn't just transform her, it inspires others. When one woman breaks free, she opens doors for others, when she dares to be authentic, she shows it's possible. That's why happiness and confidence aren't just personal victories, they're legacies. Every woman who lives her truth heals the wounds of past generations and paves the way for those to come. In that act, she finds a purpose greater than any external validation, to be, in her very existence, a symbol of freedom. The woman who's found herself doesn't settle for surviving, she wants to live fully. She rejects a half-life, refuses to be trapped by the comfort of the known or paralyzed by fear of the new. She knows life is a constant flow, a movement inviting her to evolve, to rediscover herself in every stage, every emotion. Jung insisted on integrating all aspects of the self, the light and the dark. It's not enough to love what we like about ourselves, we must also face what hurts, what unsettles, what we've hidden from rejection's fear. The woman who does this transforms, she stops fighting herself and starts understanding herself. In this process, she discovers her voice's power. For centuries, women's voices have been silenced, minimized, taught to whisper so as not to disturb. But the woman who finds herself knows her voice is her weapon, her way to leave a mark on the world. When she speaks with authenticity, there's no turning back. This shifts how she relates to everything. She no longer tries to fit where she's not valued or alters her essence for acceptance. She surrounds herself with those who respect her, inspire her, push her to grow without demanding she shrink. She steps away from those who dim her light, knowing her energy is a treasure to protect. As she moves forward, she notices the bond between her body and soul, as Jung taught. Repressed emotions, unresolved traumas, reflect in the body. The woman who listens learns to read its signals, every tension, every ache, is a message. She moves differently, not from duty, but from the joy of inhabiting her being. She walks unhurried, breathes deeply, dances freely. Her body stops being an enemy and becomes a temple she honors. This makes her feel more alive, more connected to her essence. And in this awakening, she stops suppressing her emotions. She's not ashamed of her sensitivity, her intensity. She cries without guilt, laughs without fear, loves without holding back. She learns to hold herself in tough times without waiting for a savior. Because the woman who knows herself shatters the myth of needing rescue, she saves herself, embraces her wholeness, loves herself first. Her energy shifts, she radiates a light that needs no words, a presence felt without effort. She no longer seeks to be desired, she chooses herself, she no longer fears solitude, she enjoys it. Jung spoke of synchronicity, nothing is chance. When a woman aligns with her truth, the universe responds. She meets people who vibe with her, finds paths she never saw, receives answers once out of reach. It's not luck, she's changed. And without trying, she inspires others, showing what it means to be free, to love unconditionally, to live fearlessly. Her transformation opens doors, not just for her, but for all. As she continues, dynamics shift. Empty conversations bore her, habitual relationships fade, others' expectations crumble like broken chains. It's liberating, but also a grieving. Growth means letting go of past selves. Jung said the shadow isn't an enemy, but a guide to what's unhealed. The woman who faces her shadow, her doubts, fears, insecurities, doesn't run. She looks with patience, understands, integrates. Thus, she reclaims her power. In a world obsessed with productivity, she dares to rest without guilt. She knows answers come in stillness, that rest isn't weakness, it's strength. This leads her to rebuild her identity, no longer defined by imposed roles, but by what she chooses to be. She reinvents herself, explores new passions, finds peace in knowing she can hold herself. For Jung, individuation is becoming who you truly are. And this woman achieves it, living without fear, without limits, fully herself. But her change unsettles some. You've changed, they say, as if it's a fault. She feels rejection, fears losing ties, but she won't turn back. She learns to let go without guilt, with gratitude for what was, knowing what doesn't belong holds her back. Then, new connections emerge, authentic, deep, undemanding. This proves that authenticity attracts truth. She allows herself the pleasure of living without rules, creating, dreaming, savoring the everyday with an open heart. Time stops being her enemy. She measures it in fullness, not tasks. Her anxiety fades, because she lives present. Every choice becomes conscious, every inherited belief questioned. She no longer justifies or seeks approval, she knows who she is, and that's enough. Her voice carries weight, her gaze reflects confidence, her thoughts are kind. She embraces mistakes as part of the journey, exploring fearlessly, turning life into an adventure. Problems aren't walls anymore, but part of the flow. She guards her energy, chooses where to invest it. Solitude becomes sacred, a space where her soul expands. She realizes everything she sought outside, love, security, strength, was always within. Her relationships are now choices, not needs. And though doubts linger, she doesn't resist, she embraces the mystery, finds peace in the unknown, and moves forward, always forward, becoming more herself each day.